Some of the largest content creators in gaming have come out to say that Warzone 2 content isn't doing well at all on YouTube. I've made like 2 or 3 videos, and I mean, I guess one of them underperformed, but like, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, my game just doesn't work. I mean, I don't really notice anything underperforming, like in particular. Maybe if I tried to do more Warzone 2 though. It's not that I think that they're lying or something, but I don't know how exaggerated it actually is. Like, obviously, like the biggest people will be completely fine no matter what really happens to Warzone, right? But, bro, talking about the whole thing as like a science or like a breakdown or a profession, studying it through like analytics and all this like crazy shit, it's exhausting to even think about. I mean, that's just even as like a creator. Viewers, it's even exhausting. A lot of people are saying the game sucks, so that's why it doesn't get any views, but Warzone 1 sucks. The thing is, like, sitting there staring at numbers and all this shit will drive you insane. Like, I hated math when I was in school to begin with, but then staring at analytics and shit like that, like, some people like really fall in love with it and they think that they all got it figured out, but it's just, it's always an up and down thing. It's never gonna be this thing where like, oh, I figured out this thing and this is working and I can just hammer this home until it doesn't work anymore. Like, some cases you might have it figured out for the moment, but that's literally like life. Good days, bad days, ups and downs, it's not. So when you got these people that are like sitting around staring at these numbers all day, they think that they can basically fix any underperforming thing and they believe that it's their fault that it's underperforming. But it is almost always a mixture of multiple things that even like make it consistently underperform. And a lot of it doesn't even have anything to do with the creator themselves. They get so comfortable with like looking at like numbers and all this crazy shit and studying all of these analytics and stats, and they don't realize like how bad and odd that feels to like a viewer from the outside. I don't know if they see that perspective. It's like they become blinded to like how odd that perspective is for a viewer to hear about. Basically, the viewer doesn't really care about the viewership woes. I feel like just by like never streaming and stuff like that, I've been able to keep a hold of my viewer brain where I still get the natural reaction and feelings from creators because I don't get close enough with them. And so like the mysticism and shit all still stays. One big thing also I have to mention, people got very, very used to 2020 numbers. Obviously, Warzone's bad state is contributing to its lower viewership. A part of me is very happy that it's underperforming, at least in some sense, to put some form of urgency. I mean, surely they care if it dies, right? Because here's the thing, people could go back to Warzone 1 right now, and they're not going to be nearly as addicted as they were before. I think it's a little bit of player fatigue in tandem with the fact that, like, they literally just don't listen to people. They just don't listen. I know that they made this game for, like, quote, casuals, right? Because they slowed the game down and everything, but that is actually having the inverse effect of what you would usually, or at least how they thought it would work out. It's like, well, if we just give all the casuals all this power, they'll reward us with just playing a whole bunch because they'll believe that they're actually really good at the game and that they actually like it. We can sit there and tailor all of their experiences. What they fail to do is to properly communicate how Warzone changed between Warzone 1 to Warzone 2, and people literally still don't even know how to buy loadouts or anything. And to be honest, a lot of people just stayed and stuck on Warzone because that was the only thing that it felt like people would want to watch them for, or anyone would even really want to play. Now that that's not the case, now all of a sudden it's not such a great game, right? Just like with Caldera and all that. Why would I spawn here then? I died twice in the same kill. Why would I spawn here if the enemy is literally capping that flag? Why couldn't the game spawn me somewhere else? Surely there was a better spot. Somewhere. Oh, it's because I have 20 kills. The game gave me a skill-based spawn, I see. One big issue also is the lack of transparency and the communication on things being fixed or even addressed in the first place. They're acting like everyone is just gonna accept it and just like play it because there's no alternative. I don't think Warzone 2 is bad. It's just that they changed a whole bunch of stuff around. I warned everybody that they were gonna just not learn anything from their previous games. They're gonna do the same thing that they do to the multiplayer experience. I hope everybody just quits this shit, to be honest with you. Maybe, just maybe they would learn their lesson. Maybe. Oh, this is the first time I've ever seen this error code. I'm excited. Hold on. The first error code I've ever seen like this. Hold on. This guy is saying the way that he managed to fix this error code, he changed his DLSS to AMD FSR. I don't use DLSS or FSR, so it can't crash if I never even ran it to begin with. In graphics quality settings, set on-demand texture streaming to off. It is off. This guy says that he believes that it's the sharpening that was actually crashing it. Have you tried playing the game without using Fidelity Cast? Yeah, but like not everybody is crashing using that though. That is straight. Nah. That doesn't even make sense. Scan and repair, send, I don't even know. I'll do another scan and repair here, why not? It doesn't really change or anything like that. I can just launch the game and it pretty much doesn't make a difference, to be honest with you, but why not? This guy says he stopped his crashing by launching the game through GeForce Experience. What the fuck? Turn off overlay like Discord and NVIDIA Shadowplay. It's Shadowplay that's causing it? How the fuck am I gonna record the video then? Doesn't make sense. A ton of people are using it though. Yeah, this guy says this is not the average crash 4 days ago. This guy's saying that his GPU is failing. Nah, that's definitely the game though, because this doesn't happen on other games. Although I will say that going onto this driver, what is it? 526.98, I think it is. it seems a little bit more stable. And I'm sorry for talking about drivers and all of these settings and shit every single time. It's not me complaining. I'm literally just trying to like actively document stuff as well because I can be in contact with some people for it. That's not the same crash that I get all the time. So that one I could sit there and chalk up to just being like random because that's not the same code that I get all the time. It's just, it's not even. I'm actually happy that it's a different error code because that lets me know that it's not like one typical issue and it's something that is like not really actually related to myself. Actually a UFC event tonight. It's UFC 282. This actually would have been a Yuri Prochazka card, so that makes me really fucking sad. Should be watching Yuri Prochazka versus Glover Teixeira, but Yuri ended up getting a terrible shoulder injury. Instead, now we have Jan Blachowicz versus Magomed Ankalaev. It goes from two of the people that just fought for the title and had the title to two of the guys that either lost the title or never fought for the title before. People believe that Ankalaev is definitely going to win. Jan Blachowicz is a pretty big underdog. That matchup is really interesting. I just don't feel like this should be for the actual belt itself. Even though Yuri himself had actually relinquished the belt himself, he could have hung on to it, but he had a terrible shoulder injury. He's like, dude, I'm not holding up the division. I'll just let it go. You guys can hold the belt for me and I'll come back and get it. Here's the issue. Ankalaev was the scariest person to me in my mind against Yuri Prochazka. So I believe Ankalaev is actually going to win this fight and he's going to have the belt by the time Yuri comes back. The issue is that I really hope that we're going to have the same Yuri when we come back. They keep saying it's one of the, quote, worst shoulder injuries that has ever happened in the UFC. He has to go through all of the physical rehab and all that stuff. I mean, Yuri Prochazka, I know that he can get through all of that stuff, but that's obviously a massive setback. He's young and everything, so like that'll help him, but that shit is such a bummer. So these guys are fighting for a belt that he gave up. Paddy Pimblett's on the card against Jared Gordon. Jared Gordon is actually Paddy Pimblett's hardest fight so far. I think Paddy can actually win this fight, but after this point, I don't know. He's definitely going to be probably fighting some ranked guys next. Ponzinibbio versus Alex Morono. I think this was supposed to be Ponzinibbio versus Robbie Lawler, but then Morono stepped in on short notice. Interesting fight, kind of random. Morono's kind of a beast for that, but I think Ponzinibbio will win that. Darren Till is back against Dricus du Plessis. Darren Till is like 1-4 in his last 5 fights. Part of me really wants Darren Till to win just for the sake of it because, you know, he's had a rough time. Can I say that I want him to win because I feel bad for him? I want to know why they thought it was a good idea to put a microphone inside of the PlayStation controller. I'm so serious. I don't think Dricus is that great of a matchup for him because Dricus kind of like, he has a lot of pressure and stuff and Till doesn't really do that well under a lot of pressure. Someone that doesn't really allow him to get going on the feet, he has a hard time. It's probably not a good idea to stand up with him. I think Dricus will win the fight, but I want Darren to win. And then Bryce Mitchell versus Ilia Topuria. That's honestly my most anticipated fight on the entire card. I love this matchup. I also love Ilia Topuria versus Paddy Pimblett. I hope that they actually try to do that next. What I'm hoping for in particular is for Paddy Pimblett to win his fight, and then want Ilia to win his fight, so then they end up making a match. I know that Ilia is, you know, a weight class under or whatever, but he did come up. He also KO'd Jai Herbert. And while Ilia is undersized for 155, I think that'd be an interesting fight. They have beef. Everyone knows that they have beef. I'm gonna pick Ilia Topuria over Bryce Mitchell, but this is not gonna be like an easy fight by any means. A lot of people see Ilia Topuria as like this striker power puncher just because of what he did to Jai Herbert and just watching his fights and stuff, but he's actually a very, very good grappler. So I don't see him just getting subbed by Bryce Mitchell just immediately. I feel like a lot of people think all Bryce has to do is get it to the ground and it'll be over. The issue is I don't think it's that simple. I don't think the job is done as soon as you get to the ground, and I don't think it's gonna be that easy to get him to the ground either. But also, for some reason, a lot of people think that Bryce wouldn't be able to strike with him. I think that Bryce could strike with him. Because Ilia Topuria striking, as dangerous as it is, he's been caught before, and the dude will just sit there and throw power hooks over and over and over again, left, right, without blocking his chin the entire time. That's how he got head kicked and nearly finished, but he ended up coming back and winning that fight. That fight against Jai Herbert, that's how he got caught so bad. He defensively is not that great in the stand-up, so even though Bryce isn't known as like a crazy striker or anything, I think that he wouldn't be entirely insane to sit there and strike with him at least a little bit. Paul Rosas Jr., he's like 18 or 19 years old or some shit. He's making his debut. I think the way that people talk about him sometimes is pretty fucked up. We'll be making fun of the way that he talks, like he has like a cleft palate or something like that. So it's literally like an impediment and a physical thing that he can't change. People just be saying fucked up shit, man. Oh, and it crashes right here in the menu. Whatever. Hey, that's a good stopping point anyway. Rosenstruik versus Chris Dawkins. I think Rosenstruik has that. Edmund Shabazian versus Dolce Logambula. I think Edmund Shabazian has that. Chris Curtis versus Joaquin Buckley. I think Joaquin Buckley could actually win that fight if he wrestles. I think that'll be a good fight, actually. Oh, and we're back to the classic 0xC0000050N. I've looked up all of the things about this error code, and it's the game. It's not me.